to another week of Trash Panda Talks Wrestling with the one and only Lloyd Legacy Sharp.
Hi.
It's where we give you the best and worst of each episode of wrestling this week. Sometimes it's all just the worst. and let's just get into this week, because this week was insane.
It's very... Welcome, everyone, to Monday Night Raw!
Okay, just because I'm pretty sure I know what the worst is, start with your best.
Alright. My best of the week from Monday Night Raw goes to the Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre segment. Because Raw has had a long history of talk, and don't really say a whole lot of anything, ever since the Authority era of not that long ago. This time, both Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton held my attention for the entire time that they both spoke. Drew McIntyre going into his own history, real-life history, bringing up some of Randy Orton's history, his real-life history, pointing out the fact that Randy Orton, even though Drew McIntyre should have been fired, Randy Orton could have gotten fired a lot more times than he did. And Randy Orton coming out and saying, I've made my money, I've done everything I could do. Why do you think I'm still here? Because I want to be. But then Drew McIntyre pointing out the fact that Randy Orton is a legend and a veteran, but he has not given back as much as he's been given. And it was just great. That was just goodness.
So yeah, solid promo work. I'm gonna give two honorable mentions on this one. First honorable mention, just because I love them. Iconics.
Yes.
Excellent promo work. They're like a tag team of female Jerichos, and I love it. Another honorable mention, even though I hate ninjas, Akira Tozawa's Senton Bomb was awesome.
Yeah, I gotta give him that one. That was Akira Tozawa, by the way, is not a bad wrestler.
No,
he's in a stupid group and he's got a stupid gimmick, but Akira Tozawa is in the ring like
he's great. He's great, and that Senton Bomb was legendary. But the best of the week for Raw, if you couldn't tell by the intro music, Samoa Joe. Oh man, he's good at commentary, and then when he gets in an argument with Seth Rollins to set him up for Dominic to whoop his ass, you believe that Samoa Joe was about to get in there and whoop some ass. Samoa Joe is great. Comes out looking like a badass and a great commentator. You need these kinds of guys.
He reminds me of what Taz could have been if Taz didn't become the puppet that he did in later years. Because Taz is always a great commentator, but Taz was never as years went on, he was less of a badass that you believe could still go, and more just the guy that made you laugh aside Michael Cole. Samoa Joe, great commentator, but he's still believable.
Oh yeah,
as a badass.
And I believe he could get in the ring in the next couple of weeks. You know,
oh yeah, he still could.
Food. So Samoa Joe, just legendary, Hall of Famer.
Yes, he better be. I'll say that much.
Okay, and that comes to the worst.
Okay, this is weird because there was so much happening on Raw that ranged from interesting to what the hell to flat out stupid, that there was no one thing that I could rate as the worst of Raw. So I am giving Raw a collective worst of suffering from TMS. Too much shit. Because the Raw Underground, which as a concept, I had hope for it as a concept, and let me put it this way: Raw Underground was timeless, in that the more time passed, the less I liked it. The fact that Shane McMahon is back for no reason, the fact that the Hurt Business running the Underground, I was kind of liking that vibe, but still, it didn't work. The lights flickering on and off because the Rebellion Nexus rebooted is suddenly here, and that didn't make any sense. And then too much shit. Everything outside of what I mentioned as the best and what you mentioned as honorable mention, it was too much. None of it didn't make. Like, I felt like I lost IQ points, and by the time I went to sleep the next morning when I woke up, I feel like I'm not as smart as I was or as intelligent as I was as a human being before I watched Raw. It was too much. It was too much. Too much. Too much.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It was a lot. I had to pick something that was the worst, but between Retribution playing with the lights, Underground being just weird. It was just weird. I did like the Hurt Business at the end of that. I did like that, and as long as they keep running with that, I like that a lot. But the worst for me, Marquise Lee getting poisoned. Why are we doing it? It didn't work when we did it with Ric Flair. It's not working now. It's dumb. Also, terrible storytelling for a match. You don't get poisoned, and then all of a sudden you can fight for a minute, and then you fall over. It's
At least Ric Flair in WCW had a heart attack in the middle of the ring, and he wasn't wrestling at that point. He was cutting a promo. This made even less, and even that was like too much. Even at that point for WCW, but at least that made sense in a storyline perspective. This is just dumb. God damn.
Yeah, just absolutely dumb. So, Raw, it was all right. It was just confusing because there was so much going on.
Exactly. I couldn't keep up, and I couldn't decide what I liked, what I didn't like. The Hurt Business has potential as a faction, and them being connected to the Raw Underground has potential. But other than that, nah.
Yeah, not buying it. Okay, that brings me to my favorite part of the week. Every Wednesday, AEW. Yay! I'm gonna get the worst out of the way. I'll give 2 honorable mentions for worst of the week in Raw, or not Raw, AEW. Why? See, Raw was so bad. It
carries over. It's relay effect.
Now, the last 2 weeks of AEW have been really, really good. Really top notch. This week kind of took a backslide a little bit. 2 honorable mentions for worst of AEW this week. Eric Bischoff, just fuck off, dude. Just go away. Be done. Retire. Go to the Indies or something. I don't want to see your face on TV anymore. I mean, he did an okay job. I just hate seeing him. Like, you're done. You had your chances. The second honorable mention is the best friend's mom's minivan getting smashed.
Oh.
It's kind of a funny angle, but like Santana Ortiz, you leave Trent's mom alone. You leave his mama alone. Bad. Naughty. But the worst thing about AEW was now one of them was an accident, but there were like 3 or 4 matches that had just blood everywhere, and it's getting a little out of hand. Even the final match with Darby and Moxley ended with Moxley's face dripping blood. It's a little bit much. You don't need blood in every episode. Now, I do feel bad for Matt Hardy because
oh my God,
he got split open.
Oh my word.
Sammy Guevara just keeps fucking up. I mean, it wasn't all his fault, but it was totally his fault.
Yeah.
Now, I can handle a little blood, so it's not that bad, but we need to calm it down.
And they did say something during, because I'm sure like I do, you watch all the reviews during the week, ups and downs, and WTF. What Culture made a point that although Sammy Guevara definitely screwed up, apparently the gimmick chair wasn't where it was supposed to be, and if you're on live television and you have to make a move and you got to pull something that's like, and not make it any more awkward than it was, he did the only thing he could do and pull the chair that wasn't gimmicked, but maybe he could have pulled the shot. I don't know. That's something they said in his defense.
I mean, it was a bit messy, but
yeah.
Overall, whatever. The best of AEW this week, it's obvious that it's the debate between Jericho and Orange Cassidy. That feud is just building and building so perfectly. I hope they fight forever. It's great. I will give honorable mention to the Britt Baker and Big Swole feud that's building. I love that Britt Baker made her assistant get in the ring and fight Big Swole, and she was not happy about it. Poor Reba. Reba just got tossed around. And big shout out to Hangman Adam Page, man. It's hard to stand out in a 12-man tag match, but when he got in the ring, he just runs ripshot on everybody. And he just has that presence, like shit's going down when Hangman gets in the ring. So I'll give it a tie between Hangman and the Great Debate. That debate was awesome, though. Especially when they asked Orange Cassidy the environmental question, and it's the first time he spoke, and he just gave a very direct and accurate account of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
AEW backslid a little bit this week, a little too much blood, but overall, some of the greatest moments in wrestling are happening right now.
Amen.
And then I'll give you, let you have some NXT action.
All right, NXT. Real simple this week because my best and worst are pretty much the same thing. My best for SmackDown this week, sorry, not SmackDown, ahead of myself. My best for NXT this week is the confrontation between Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. Because of the fact that the way they came together and the way that they ended up, let's say, interacting and the stage around it, like the staging around it when you had Triple H and Shawn Michaels out there by the end of it and he was getting thrown out and like it was, I can't say too much about why it's the best because, and I'll get to why in a minute, but the staging and the emphasis they were putting on Adam Cole and Pat McAfee and their whole ordeal from, this past few weeks, they didn't overdo it, but they also made it very clear that it's an issue. And for that, I enjoyed the window dressing around it. Is Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. Because of the fact that how they got to the moment where Adam Cole got kicked in the head and Pat got dragged off, how they got there didn't make any sense. Because here you have the guys that he's invited in for commentary. And at first it's like he's affable, just sitting there, he's calling the match. But Beth Phoenix and the other two commentators that are also there beside her are just sitting there just hammering it in. Well, what about Adam Cole's attitude? And you really seem to don't like Adam Cole. And what about Adam Cole? And what about Adam Cole? And what about Adam Cole? And he's actually sitting there trying to call the match and call the action. And then Beth Phoenix, well, you seem to really not like Adam Cole. And what about Adam Cole? And he's sitting there saying, I'm telling you, we put it behind us. It's fine. We're done. But you really seem to not like Adam Cole. And eventually Beth Phoenix gets mad for whatever reason and leaves. And I didn't even hear what it was that the guy said that got Beth upset enough to leave, but she's gone, apparently just so she wouldn't be involved in the fracas that took place after that. And then here comes Adam Cole saying, you're sitting right, I'm only 20 feet away from you, I can hear you, you've been 20 feet away from him this entire time, and you chose until the last 2 to 3 minutes of airtime to actually bring that back to his attention. That seems a little too convenient. And by the end of this, their guest commentator, who also happens to have an issue that he didn't even have the issue with the guy until the commentators kept reminding him how much of an issue that he had with him. And then suddenly, after being egged on by the commentators, then he starts to fire back. And then Adam Cole starts paying attention to him for the first time all match. And then suddenly, Pat's looking like the asshole, and Adam Cole's looking like the sympathetic figure when Pat was just being riled up the whole time. And then he walks, and then he's leaving cocky. He's leaving all and that part I like because it looked great, but the logic was not there. Pat was a babyface coming into it. And suddenly, after being egged on by the freaking two talking heads and Beth Phoenix Hall of Famer WWE superstar, because I'm not going to put her in the same category with the other two, suddenly, now there's an issue. And I love the visual. Shawn Michaels coming out there, Triple H coming out there. It looked great, but the logic leading up to that moment made absolutely no sense. The worst.
I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked all of it. It carries over outside of the ring, so I like it a lot. But I get where you're coming from.
The story, just the way they drew it out on TV, they could have done it a little bit better. He could have been an asshole coming in instead of just being a jerk after he was provoked, because that just makes Beth Phoenix and them look like jackasses. Instead of him coming in as a heel, they made him by the end of the show anyway.
Well, they'll build it on his podcast over a couple of weeks too, and that's why I like it, because it'll carry over, to cross promote. I love the feud. Just the commentary was just weird. It'll get better. It'll build.
I hope so.
Speaking of things that won't get better, let's move on to the Smackdowns.
Oh boy, so blue. You ever feel blue when Smackdown is on, or is it just the color of the logo?
Both. It's both.
All right, I'll get into it, because I went on about this all week last week, and my worst for SmackDown this week is the Alexa Bliss Bray Wyatt follow-up, because for such a great cliffhanger that made me legitimately want to see Bray Wyatt get his ass kicked, the Fiend, get his ass kicked. They basically, all they did was put Alexa Bliss in the ring and have her no-sell Bray Wyatt's reaction, no-sell Bray Wyatt to the point where Bray Wyatt was the one backing off. And then Braun Strowman, it says, he comes on and says, "I don't give a fuck about Alexa. I only want to destroy you." And it's like, okay, you know what? You did your job. You made me want to watch SmackDown this week. And then you followed it up in that segment, at least, with the most lacking of foundation, pointless babble that really answered no questions about whether Alexa Bliss is with the Fiend or against the Fiend, or did Bray Wyatt's like, "Yeah, fuck Alexa. I'm not going to deal with you." It's like, okay, so now you basically take the thing you set up at the horror show with Extreme Rules, with Alexa being Sister Abigail, you take that and you basically Braun doesn't care, doesn't give a fuck, and everything, half of what I wanted to care about going into this after last week is now retconned. Bray doesn't care, don't know what happened with Alexa, but now I just want to see Bray get his ass kicked. So they sold me a bill of goods, they conned me into wanting to see it this week, and then they reminded me, don't worry, Lloyd, we're SmackDown. We don't keep things going very long as far as interest is concerned. And that's the worst of the week for SmackDown for me.
Yeah, I didn't like it that much either, but the worst for me was Retribution. I'm sorry, but I did not like the image of 5 dudes in black ganging up on a woman outside of the ring. That shit is, that's not the kind of imagery we need on TV, especially on what is considered a PG show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't hate the concept of Retribution, but the images like that don't need to be perpetuated, I will say.
Exactly.
It was very, very cringy, because SmackDown keeps doing things that are like borderline rapey, and I don't like it.
Exactly. It's not the Attitude Era. That doesn't fly anymore. No. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this right now. A lot of things in the Attitude Era have not aged well. So,
right.
Like, like, as much as I love that time period, if you go back and watch a lot of the things they said from the racial things to the sexist, sexual things, there's a lot of things. Even some of the things that The Rock and Stone Cold were doing around that time, they don't gold dust. They don't age well. So if you go back to that to try to bring in that audience, no, not needed.
Yeah, I'm not for it.
No.
There had to be something good on the episode, though, right?
Oh, there was. I do have a best. Honorable mention, Big E promo.
Same.
Big E cut, just...
Give that man a belt.
Yes. Big E made me believe in him without locking in a single rest hold. Like, just that promo, I'm like, yes. Make him the man. Just make Big E the man. Scrap the Universal title and just give him the WWE title and just build the entire company around just him. Make him that's what that promo did for me. But even that was only an honorable mention. My best of SmackDown this week goes to Cesaro versus Dorado. Only because now I knew, obviously, Dorado wasn't going to win. But the fact that I can say that I knew Cesaro's opponent was going to lose is refreshing to me. Because usually when Cesaro's in the ring, I automatically, he's Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, he's going down. But Cesaro has reached the point where if you put him in the ring with somebody like Lindsay Dorado, yeah, Lindsay Dorado's going to lose. Credit to Cesaro and the match. The match itself, for a television match, not that Cesaro having a good match is anything surprising, but on a show that was just not as good as last week, seeing Cesaro and Lindsay Dorado have as good of a match as they did, it was the best long-form experience I had watching that show.
I'm going to give Cesaro an honorable mention, but yeah, Dorado also, that was a hell of a match. It was a really good match. And you're right. At no point did I believe that Dorado was going to win that match.
Exactly.
But that's good to say.
Exactly. You know, when you know who's going to lose, when you know who's going to win, and you know who's going to lose, and can still enjoy the match, and when you know who's going to lose, isn't automatically Cesaro. 2+.
It's not my best of the week though.
Fair.
As you know, anytime you make me laugh, it gets the best of the week for me. So I'm giving the best of SmackDown to Mandy Rose's hair.
Oh, my God.
With googly eyes. Also, Miz and Morrison are just doing a great job of being assholes.
They are.
So setting up that feud with Otis and Tucker, and Otis coming out to defend his lady's honor, that's the best for me. That's great storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
And stupid gimmick all at the same time. I love it. Love it.
And Dad felt so bad for laughing at that, but we couldn't help. But
it was stupid, but at the same time, it's wrestling. Like,
exactly.
It's hilarious.
And after, I mean, let's face it, Sonya Deville's attack on Mandy Rose was very, very, very good, but vicious. Like heinous. So Miz and Morrison kind of took the edge off of it a little bit, and without losing any heat. So fair play to them.
And their match at the end was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So
indeed.
Okay, so that wraps up the week. So we got to pick the best and worst out of everything. We like to end on positive notes. So Lloyd, give me your worst first.
My worst of the week is the worst of Raw. Too much shit. There was just too much shit happening on Raw, and too much of it was happening without reason, without explanation, and without any storyline progression, continuation, or purpose. And just for Raw having too much shit, that was the worst of the week for me. There's nothing this week in wrestling that made me not so much just upset, but just ask why. Not since after season 1 through the rest of the series of Lost have I asked why so much and never gotten an answer. Too much shit on Raw.
Yeah. Mine is Raw and SmackDown. It's still Retribution. I don't like. You shouldn't be attacking women. That's just.
Yeah.
Just, no. And like they're their biggest pose of a threat up until the end of Smackdown was turning the lights on and off. That's just dumb. Like, how do they not know somebody's back in the back standing next to a light switch going clicky, 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 click, click?
Exactly.
Oh, it might be that.
Menacing, evil, villainous.
It's stupid. I hate Retribution, and I hate the way they look and all that shit. So,
fair.
I hate it. Best of the week, Lloyd.
My best of the week. It was kind of a toss up, but just to be nice to Raw, I'm gonna give the best of the week to the Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton promo, because I was going to give it to the seemingly babyface turn that Sheamus kind of seems like he's in the middle of, but more so, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre cut a promo that made me believe, and that is not something that WWE does very often on any of their shows. So for that, they get the best of the week.
My best of the week is tough, man. Because, like, you know how...
It's got to be on AEW, obviously.
Normally it is. But I think this week, as good as the debate was, and it's rewatchable, I'm going with Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. And I love it. I was watching the podcast when the feud started, and I made it the best of the week that week because I couldn't tell if it was a work or not. Now I know it's definitely a work, so that's great. And it spills over into the outside world of wrestling, so that. And you know Pat McAfee's like finisher move is going to be a punt kick because he's a punter.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
Great. It actually almost got me to watch a full episode of NXT.
I can agree with that. Like, I love the feud. The overall feud, I think, is great. Just that commentary. The commentary banter was BS, but the overall feud, given how wide of a scope it's going to cover in the entertainment world, as much as it can, yeah. I can see that being best of the week.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Like I said, it might get me to watch NXT.
And that would definitely take some doing. Which, if you want to watch NXT, you can do on a WWE network for just $9.99.
that was hilarious.
That was a nice callback by Sasha and Bayley.
Well, all right. You said you had some.
I have history this week,
and that I
can assure you that after this week in history, you will never, ever be the same again. Because on this day in 1999, the clock counted down to 0, and Chris Jericho made his WWE debut on Monday Night Raw to save us from all the mediocre superstars in the ring, including a mediocre superstar that was in the ring that night, which was The Rock, so he was kind of wrong there. But he did it, and the rest, as they say, is history. But on this day, August 9th, 1999, Chris Jericho debuted in the WWE on Monday Night Raw.
Y2J. One of the greatest debuts in history. Like,
yes.
Absolutely. Can't believe I didn't put that one together.
I had, given how the fact that Chris Jericho is still here and is still, like, arguably, depending on who you ask, arguably the hottest commodity in the wrestling industry from a veteran standpoint, this is perfect. Like, not just this week, today, in 1999, he debuted. So, Le Champion was just getting started in WWE.
Indeed. And he's still a top dog main eventer. So, yeah, legendary career.
Exactly.
Hall of Famer.
There's nothing. I don't have enough good things to say about Chris Jericho. Like, as far as people who started way back then and are still doing it, there's nobody better. People can make their arguments for who's the best talker, who's the best wrestler, who's the best this and that, but there is nobody from that era of wrestling that is still active today and still doing it as good as Chris Jericho.
I mean, he's the king of promo. I personally, I'm a huge fan. So.
Oh yeah. And like I said, hey, if The Rock or Roddy Piper or Ric Flair was still at it today and doing it as good as they once did, maybe Jericho would have some people standing there with him. But none of the greatest talkers in history from that era are still there today, and Chris Jericho can out-talk most of the people in the WWE locker room right now, except for the ones that don't need scripting. Kevin Owens, people like that. Chris Jericho, just the best in the world at what he does.
Well, all right, guys. That's going to wrap it up for the week. Lloyd, telling people what you got going on.
Well, right now I am, obviously this is going to be going on Monday, so Coronathon every Sunday, obviously. If you missed it last night from when you're going to see this, you can tune in on Sunday. I will be doing Comedy Live Now this Thursday, right after I see that guy downtown. I will be on the Trinity Beer Garden live comedy show in Providence, Rhode Island on August 21st for Glue Factory Comedy. My first live on-stage comedy show since April. So I'll be there on August 21st. I will be a part of, obviously I said it last week, Sauce in the City on August 21st, August 26th. Michael Legacy Jackson appearance in Hampton, New Hampshire on August 28th. And, of course, I'll be here every Saturday doing this with Vaiden Jones, Panda Talks Wrestling.
All right. You got a busy schedule, you bastard.
Yeah. Didn't expect it, but here we are.
On Thursday. Damn. All right, well,
we have to do lunch on Thursday. Like it's just inevitable.
I've been missing those.
Exactly.
As everybody knows, I host Trash Conspiracy every Wednesday. This show every Monday. Well, it comes out every Monday, just because of the nature of the business. And then the new podcast, not today, but next week. Everybody Loves Trash will be debuting, so be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure which day of the week I'm going to release it. I don't know if it's going to be on Monday or later in the week, but it is happening, and I'm excited. And we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, you can catch me at Midway or the Highway most Sundays. I was probably there last night. All right, with that, we're going to get out of here, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Too sweet. Joe.